Um, I just want to make sure that Blizzo is in this game.
Yep.
I think if Blizzo's in, things are looking good for skill capped. And I mean, for Horizon, they already had a little bit of practice against the Warrior Shadow Priest, but like the others already mentioned, they could run that for sure, and they will run the exact same matchup here. Horizon, they cannot be too happy about that one.
Yeah.
Back to back.
Let's see what they do here with this composition. It's game number 1, upper bracket, skill cap versus Horizon.
I mean, this was such an insane game 1 in the last series against Method. Are we going to get the same type of epic gameplay here for their first round? We see a grip on Asgarath, but into a Psychic Scream. Nice punish. Blizzo goes for Stormbolt. Castle gets pulled away to safety. Blizzo Blade Storms out of the root to try and reconnect here. Not getting too much value just yet. Frosty going for Void Volley, not connecting that onto anyone just yet. They go for Spear Bash on the Feral Druid, so it seems like Skill Cap, they're focusing their strategy a little bit more differently here. We saw almost every Spear Bastion going into Relza in the last series. This time around, the first one going into Tony. Perhaps it's just because Blizzo's mobility was so limited, he needed to get value out of the cooldown right away. Curious to see if they flip it around here. Frosty seems to be more focused on doing overall damage as opposed to saving his Void Eruption to combo with the Spear of Bastion. Not sure if I'm a big fan of that. It's going to be really hard to land Void Volley without the Spear pinning multiple targets. Freezing Trap onto Asgrath into a full Cyclone. Excellent interrupts on Frosty here by Horizon. They totally shut out the Master Spell. Now with a Mind Control, Blizzo leaps over to pummel it. Good awareness by Blizzo. Now going after Relza. He's setting up with that Warbreaker available and the Spear of Bastion coming off cooldown. Frosty in position. They stun Relza prior to the Spear of Bastion. And they don't silence for follow-up, so a little bit of a disjointed stun lock. Relza is going to be able to escape, and that's going to be a nice punish for them in the future. Stun into Freezing Trap from downtown with a root on the grip and an interrupt on the Master Spell. Insane synergy by Horizon.
Yeah, beautifully done. Let's see if Blizzo goes down. It looks like Blizzo is okay so far. Asgrath still has the Iron Bark. The damage just isn't there this time from Horizon. Blizzo looking a lot more durable than what Waz was in that last game. And we'll see. I mean, if Skill Cap can be kind of bulletproof in this matchup, eventually their consistent damage will overwhelm. I mean, you have Blizzo and the Warrior. We haven't seen him too much this season just because the Shadow Priest mages look so good for Skill Cap. But anytime Blizzo is in the match, he is an absolute force to be reckoned with. And let's see if we can take down Relza right now. Massive damage on Relza. He's just behind the pillar getting chopped up. Relza in position to go for a Shadow Man. Looking for a potential Fear. It's actually Frosty on the back foot. Forced him to Dispersion. Now Fear coming out on the Asgrath. Still Frosty's in some trouble. Any more crowd control on Asgrath? Let's see if they can follow it up. Doesn't look like it just yet. There's still the Fade. There's the Necrolord shield as well. The Fleshcraft, and Frosty will be A-okay.
Yeah, and now it's going to be Blizzo a little bit on the back foot, but Asgarath able to pick him back up there with the Scenario Ward. Asgarath looking for a drink, but look at Casu. Immediately, Hunter's Mark puts down the flare, sends in his little skeleton dog, and he will stop Asgarath there from getting any mana. And now Relza in the silence. They're going after Tony Farrell here. Tony just gonna get a root there, and gonna get a nice stun there onto Blizzo as well. Blizzo now finally breaking out the roots, gonna be able to charge back onto Casu. Look for a little bit of pressure, but Casu doing a great job kiting and shutting down Asgarath from these drinks. And it looks like Horizon wants to win with mana pressure. Relza actually sitting down for a drink right now. This is massive for Horizon. Relza's going to potentially get full mana here, and Asgarath is not. Let's see what defensive cooldowns can Skill Cap force while Relza was drinking. What pressure? What can they do with this pressure they have onto Casu? Do they have any CC to combo it with? It looks like Relza's just going to be able to heal that through. And there is the stun. He's going to grip Casu, and it looks like Casu's going to be A-okay. Now Blizzo in a stun lock as well, and this dampening strategy that they're doing in Skill Cap seems to be working for now, but Tony finally forced to trade out some of his defensives here. Trinket barks in Survival Instincts for that Spear of Blizzo's avatar. And now Casu looking for his whole spell book. It was traded out, actually, to be exact. But now some pressure on the Frosty. He's going to shrink it out. Asgarath with the Iron Bark here as well. And Horizon's got great pressure. They've got great mana, and so far it's looking like their game to lose unless they can catch Tony like that again on the side of Skill Cap.
I love this entangling root on the Psy Fiend as well, or the Shadow Fiend, trying to prevent any extra mana regeneration. Frosty fears Tony. Relza dispels it. They're pushing on top of Frosty here behind the pillar. Are they going to regret this? Frosty gets stunned up. Stun into freezing trap, likely from Kasu here. They're going to go for an entangling root on the grip. Trap's already secured. Frosty on the back foot. Likely forced into dispersion, but intervene Fleshcraft. I love that combo. The intervene denies the physical interrupts, so Frosty is guaranteed to get the full absorb effect. But they just swapped to Blizzo on the intervene. Is he going to be able to recover here? Big heals come in from Askerath, stabilizing the team. Now Tony on the back foot. They drop a barrier onto this Spear of Bastion, and Skillcap seem more oriented to just maxing out their pressure. A lot of these Spears of Bastions have been just going into the Feral Druid, trying to do as much damage as possible, rather than setting up coordinated attacks on the healer. So we're seeing almost a completely different line of play, despite Skillcap playing the same composition as Method. We're going to have to see if it works out for them. So far, even on mana at this point, cooldowns have been forced back and forth. Tony's in a vulnerable position here. Frosty still in the back foot, though, as Relza tries to sit for a drink. Relza behind the pillar. Relza could go to full mana here. Askerath needs to drink now as well. If Kasu and Tony push in here and stop Askerath from drinking, they're going to have a big advantage, and they do.
Oh.
Askerath is still only at half mana. They set up on Tony, trying to take him out here. Is he ready for it? Caught in the Spear of Bastion. Power Word shields coming through from Relza. Fleshcraft channel from Tony, punishing the pummel. And with that massive shield, Tony looks like he will survive the attack here as he swaps some pressure onto Frosty. And Askerath is going to have to spend a lot of mana to heal 2 targets right now through this much damage.
Yeah, this is a really good strategy coming in from the side of Horizon, and they're looking more and more comfortable in this match. Blizzo getting incredibly low. That's going to be the Trinket, and Nature's Swiftest heal coming in from Askerath. That huge emergency lifeline that Skillcap has available is now gone, and it is overlapped with the Die by the Sword as well. So that was a major panic mode. I think Blizzo even used his Fireblood racial there also. So there's really not any defense left. And Blizzo is just being trained down. This damage is absolutely incredible from the side of Horizon. Some counter pressure coming in, though. Then silence onto Relza with a disarm over on the Kasu into a Stormbolt. Good little setup, but it seems like Horizon's easily able to shrug that off. And now after this Iron Bark, I get the feeling that Blizzo could be in some trouble.
Oh, Blizzo is definitely in trouble. He has his Trinket, but he doesn't have his War Banner. He doesn't have his Die by the Sword to combo with it. And he doesn't have his Racial either, so he's not really going to be able to do too much. Maybe Trinket, Heroic Leap, or intervene away at most. But here it comes. Double stun setup. They get the bleeds, and they get the trap. There's a Master Spell. He gets kicked out. It looks like they're going to go after Proxy here. Blizzo has too many halts. He's playing a little bit too defensive. He charges out. Looks to interrupt the Cyclone of Tony. And he is able to break up the chain there. Askerath sitting down for a drink there potentially, but Kasu finds him with the flare. And now Blizzo leap, and he gets the spear here. Big damage onto Tony. Tony's going to use that bark skin. Is going to be enough, though. Prophecy's looking to push in as well here, getting aggressive. Kasu trying to disorient them there with his Ventir teleport. Drops the trap, actually misses it, I think. I'm not sure if that was a freezing trap. It looks like it, but Kasu still chasing down Askerath here. 30 seconds left or so on that Trinket. So potential for one more setup here before that emergency cooldown will be ready for Skillcap. But the big story here is Relza has full mana. Askerath not with any mana right now, but he is sitting down for a drink right now and could potentially be able to get it. But Relza actually is going to be the one who stops him. Innovate coming out from Askerath now, and it's clear as day that Horizon, they just want to win this game based off of pressure. They want to just find a moment, and Askerath, he's just trying to drink over and over again. So they need to stop that by running at him, by having Relza running at him, by having Kasu running at him, or with pressure. And that's going to be Horizon's ticket to victory. Just continue this chokehold and never let Askerath drink. Keep up the pressure. You have the mana lead. You're already deep into dampening. And there it is. Forge Light, the Prime Minister is going to proc Blizzo. Super low here. We got to stand onto Askerath. Void Raptor coming out from Frosty here. The Void Volleys trying to disturb everything on the map. But it looks like Blizzo will survive. But that was at a great cost once again.
All right. I mean, they just have such a massive lead here, 21% dampening. If they just keep momentum going, I think Horizon are going to take this. Askerath, Fleshcraft's trying to avoid crowd control. Horizon looked like they were patient, waiting for its effect to fade before moving in. Frosty interrupted on a Master Spell on Blizzo's Cyclone, trying to heal himself back up. Tony gets Cycloned for a moment by Askerath. They're trying to stall the fight here. Blizzo swaps over to Relza, and I think they're realizing that they need to be attacking the healer more frequently in this matchup. Going after the damage dealers, Relza just drinks so frequently that I don't think it's going to work for them. They get a bit of damage, but they don't keep up the chase. They drop a War Banner, trying to disrupt some of the crowd control control, and they manage to break up the chains onto 2 players. High value from Blizzo as he blade storms over to Tony. Spear Bastion is available. Here comes Void Eruption from Frosty, but none of those Void Volleys are going to connect. Now they go for a Spear Bastion onto Tony. He's going to trade Bark Skin. Frosty's still on the back foot. Kasu is tearing into Frosty right now, just soloing him at the moment, stunning Asgarath. Now Tony moves over to finish him. He fades on critically low health. Blizzo fears the whole team, trying to stall the fight for Frosty as he gets a couple of Shadow Mens, but even with the Shadow Mens, he will have to trade Dispersion. Horizon are beginning to sink their teeth in.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely are at this point. Dampening is just going nowhere but up, and Asgarath is really struggling to heal through this pressure. And honestly, Skillcap's having a difficult time getting anything going themselves. Maim onto Blizzo. Once again, they are holding on. It's going to be the trinket dive of the sword by Blizzo. He's going to survive. Frosty with literally no defensive cooldowns whatsoever. Being tap targeted here by Kasu and Tony. They're all over this team right now. A bash onto Asgarath. Do they have any more follow-up crowd control? Looks like a Disorient Roar into potential full Cyclone. They find it. Now they're going after Blizzo. Blizzo could just outright die. He's in the middle of the map getting hit by all 3 members, and he gets dropped. Horizon is on fire. And I mean, the first couple games we saw this composition, it seemed like, okay, skill cap method, they figured it out. They got the Warrior, they got the Shadow Priest, they got the Druid, but it seems like Horizon is just getting better and better in this matchup. They're the ones getting more and more comfortable, and this is looking like a nightmare for the European region.
I mean, I would say they're getting better and better every game as well. If you look at the last series that we saw them play, and here they are winning game number 1 very convincingly against against Skillcapped, excuse me. And you're definitely right, Ben. These guys are looking so confident. I can't wait to see what they're going to do throughout the rest of this tournament. But let's break it all down here for game number 1.
Honestly, it felt like Horizon was never in any trouble this game. They always had answers. They always had cooldowns. They were never in a situation where, okay, their priest is out of mana and they're running low on cooldowns, and the pressure from skill cap is starting to really matter here. And I mean, at this point, Blizzo, he's out in no man's land here, and Kasu, he's just doing a great job, just, trying to get some damage out. Good roots here on the pets, by the way, from Asgarath. It shuts down a lot of that BM Hunter damage, but they will reconnect there onto Blizzo. He pops the trinket, he pops die by the sword, and then they immediately root Blizzo and swap target here. And you can see Blizzo here, as soon as this cooldown runs out, he's got nothing to work with at this point. Asgarath has no mana to work with. Relza, he's still looking good in terms of cooldowns, in terms of mana, and they just have an insane amount of pressure onto Blizzo. Asgarath's going to trinket, but doesn't have an Iron Bark, doesn't have a Nature Swiftness or anything like that, so doesn't have a big way to keep Blizzo back up. And Blizzo himself obviously used his own cooldown, so they just really didn't have anything. And in addition to that, they didn't have any mana either. And I think a lot of it comes down to Kasu. Kasu just did a great job being an annoying hunter, like just sitting in the face of Asgarath and spamming Flare, spamming Hunter's Mark, sending in his Raptor and everything, and just making sure he never gets to drink a single sip.
Some would argue, though, that being an annoying hunter is easy.
Well, not as annoying as Kasu.
Yeah.
True.
All right, well, either way, very well done by Horizon, looking pretty solid so far here in this series. Skill cap, they tried something new, weren't able to make it work, but I'm really curious to see if they're going to try that here again as we head into game number 2. Horizon, they're going to blind lock their composition, so we'll see what Skill cap has in store. But what is their best bet at this point, do you think, Super Tees?
I mean, there was a significant difference in strategy than what we saw Method EU doing, and there was actually a difference in conduits. Asgarath is not running the conduit that reduces the cooldown of Mass Entanglement, which actually might make a difference. If you're rooting the pets basically off diminishing return every time the root is up, you're getting way more value in reducing the hunter's damage by a huge amount. So I would like to see Asgarath switch conduits around and pick up the conduit that Chaz is running. And then strategically, they're going after the Feral Druid. I feel like Feral Druid is it the hardest spec in the game to kill? I feel like Mage is also up there. Feral is definitely a top 3 spec, hardest spec to kill in the game. And they were putting so much damage into the Feral Druid specifically. So I would much rather see, if they are going to do that, at least coordinate the Spear of Bastion and the Void Eruption. Because when Zuniaki started doing that with Waz throughout the series, that's when the Void Volleys are really scary. Because they need to control basically the Feral and the Priest, and they can't do that unless Void Volley hits both of them. So I would like to see Spear of Bastion, Void Eruption coordinated more frequently, and then the conduit changed out for Asgrath to what Chaz was running. The do damage and don't die strategy doesn't seem like it's going to work against Horizon. I really think they were relying on that. Skillcap thought that they could just win on mana, drink, do damage, and not die, and win. But Horizon, they've prepared for that.
I'm going to be honest, watching that game, it seems like Horizon is the one that's doing damage, a lot of it, and not dying. So I think they're kind of flipping the script on its head. And now it's going to be Skillcap that has to adjust. They go to Ruins of Lordaeron, which not a pick you normally see, not a game 2 pick you normally see. So I'm wondering if Skillcap is going to be getting up to something, something a little bit different in this match. Nope.
All right, well, here we go. We got both compositions, and Ruins of Lordaeron, as Ven already said, is going to be the map that we're heading into. What I mean, I guess they just try the same thing then, Ven? Hope it works out?
I guess. I mean, a lot of the time, I mean, it's obviously not as cut and dry as, oh, my comp beats your comp. Sometimes it's kind of like that, but there's a lot of like nuance in the matchup, and Skillcap definitely can change up their strategy. Even, like I said, you just switch up the conduits that you run, the soul binds, everything like that, and it can make a huge difference in the match. Your targeting, your execution in the match, what went wrong. But I will say Skillcap seemed like, I don't want to say they were lost in the matchup, but it just didn't seem like they could get anything going. So they were constantly on the back foot from start to finish. I feel like if we see that kind of play out again in game number 2, I want to see a comp swap from Skillcap. But if they can kind of figure out this game number 2, make it a little bit easier, maybe Ruins of Lordaeron is going to be the ticket. I could definitely see them winning. I mean, on paper, this matchup doesn't seem that bad. They're very durable. They've got answers for the crowd control. They've got lots of healing. Just a really well-rounded composition. But right now, Horizon, they're just looking so solid on this jungle cleave, and they just have these teams on the back foot from start to finish.
Most definitely. They're always looking confident, always looking prepared, always looking like they've got an answer to everything that the rest of these teams are throwing at them. So Horizon, for sure the favored one to win here in this matchup, but Method EU coming up with some new strategies. Let's see if they can beat them here in game number 2, but it's going to take quite a lot to beat Horizon at their own game. They're going to have to be outplayed by a significant amount. So we'll see if Skillcap can pull that off. It's game number 2. Skillcap looking to tie it up 1-1.
This map tells me one thing. We are going to be seeing some aggression. That is where I would put my money. Typically, when it is these small maps with the very little line of sight, it ends up being a healer that gets targeted, or and there it is, Relza immediately getting stunned up. There it is, Relza is going to trinket, drop his power word barrier, and both teams trading all of their offense and their defense here. Prophecy with big void volleys coming out here. One of them is going to hit Tony here, and he keeps up the pressure onto Relza, but Relza finally now kind of escaped from that silence stun lock. He didn't have to use his pain suppression, just the trinket and the barrier, which is a fair trade for that trinket power infusion on the side of Prophecy. And now they have a full trap here onto Asgrath. Master spelled out, not going to be shut down. Nice defensive fear coming out from Blizzo. And now once again, they're going to continue the pressure here onto Relza. Double fear. Stormbolt onto Relza. Relza is going to respond though with the soul shape and potentially get away to safety. Master now looking to get some pressure of his own onto Prophecy. And so far, they're doing pretty good. Asgrath has no Iron Bark to work with. I don't think they have a freezing trap just yet. And now they finally do. And that's going to be the instant dispersion coming out from Prophecy. Tony just dropping an early fresh craft here. Now going for the Cyclone with that. And he does get the PR Cyclone. Now it looks like Blizzo will be the target here for Horizon.
Throughout time in Europe, it's always been skill-capped. Method EU going head-to-head, 2 titans of the region, but here in Season 2, Horizon have stepped up, and they are showing us what they are capable of. Already dismantling Method EU, taking out skill-capped in game number 1, and they could look to go all the way and completely blow this region wide open. They've got the pressure and they've got the cooldowns forced here as they land another freezing trap, but Blizzo sweeps in with a war banner, reducing its duration by quite a large amount, but they're setting up onto Relza. Can they get a void eruption here during the stun lock? They get disoriented roar away from the stun lock. Relza jumping off to the side, spamming out power word shields. If Frosty's just chasing him down. Now they swap, but it might be too risky. Blizzo gets blasted. They have cooldowns to trade here. They're being quite greedy in that position. No Iron Bark and no die by the sword. Now a bash onto Asgarath. They're swapping back to Frofsy. Big hit of damage onto Frofsy. Blizzo intervenes. He gets mind controlled on his intervene as Tony tries to load up bleeds and go for a Cyclone. Cyclone onto Asgarath, but Tony looks like he's going to retreat away rather than get cleaved down at the moment as they drop a tar trap on the ground, snaring both targets. Big pressure onto Blizzo throughout this game. A slight mana advantage in favor of Horizon. An interrupt on Asgarath. Frofsy is desperate, drops the Void Volleys defensively and tries to get on top of Relza to close the game out. Spear Bastion, good coordination here, but Relza can combo in with the barrier. They did at least get Medallion from Relza. Next time they have Stun Silence, Relza could be in a lot of trouble.
I mean, definitely. Let's see if they can continue the pressure. Relza on the back foot right now. Skill Cap looked a little bit more durable in this match, and they've been doing a much better job getting offensive as well. But Blizzo might just get dropped.
That's it?
It does. A beautiful setup. As soon as I say it, the caster curse. I'm like, yeah, Skill Cap. They're looking real durable. The next setup, it's a trap. It's a stun. Blizzo's deleted, and Horizon moved to match point. Look at Casu. I mean, this has got to be so exciting for them because, I mean, in Europe for the longest time, it's basically been a two-horse race. It's been all about skill capped. It's been all about method. And I mean, most people would predict those two Titan teams pretty much always make it to the finals, but Horizon in complete defiance. I mean, this is such an interesting story here in Europe. Right now, they're 1 point away from making it to the grand finals, and they've already beaten, I mean, if they win this series, they've beaten the two best teams in Europe. Traditionally, and I just feel like this could just be a huge upset here. You got to give them big props because they were playing, these series are just so incredibly well played by them.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's the thing, man. When you play that jungle, you know, the first couple of times we saw them play this matchup, it didn't look too good, but they did the adaptations. They swapped up their strategy, and they're able to close things out. They're able to find these kills, and here it's the beginning. They get the full stun onto Blizzo. They had a Cyclone there onto Asgarath, and then Tony leaping over to get the kick there. Blizzo taking decent amount of damage here, going to force out his racial with that, and that's going to allow Tony later to get his full bleeds and a setup onto Relza. He trinkets, trays out his barrier again for the power infusion of Frofsy. So he's trying to line those up, and then here again, as soon as that barrier ends, you're going to see Blizzo overextend a little bit. He's going to take a little bit of damage here, and potentially go after Casu. And now here comes the setup. Double stun secure. Relza is there. They have so much damage. Frofsy can't do anything. Nobody can do anything about it. And just a perfect setup there from the jungle. And you love to see it. This is the second time we see them do that exact same setup. They did it on Black or Cold as well. And despite the tankiness of this comp, they have found a little crack in the armor. If they get those big cross CC chains, that's when they can find pressure on the warrior, and then also sometimes when they go for those traps on the priest. But it's been more the warrior actually dying than anybody else, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Horizon looking super strong, and like you guys already said, really, really close to moving on here to the grand finals. Basically only one win away, and given how those last two went, it looks like it's going to be a kind of an easy 3-0 for Horizon Super Ds. What do you think?
I actually wonder if we see a comp swap from Skill Cap, because it's looking like an entirely different game. Like Method EU, I really liked their strategy for this matchup, although they got kind of, you know, Ferocious bit a couple times and lost a couple games. I think their strategy overall looked like it had more potential, because right now Skill Cap, I'm not sitting in the game thinking like, wow, Skill Cap, they're going to win. It's more like Horizon are winning. They're still winning. They're continuing to win, and they won. Like it's just, it's like a night and day between Skill Cap, night and day between Skill Cap and Method EU. I mean, Horizon aren't going to make any changes. So Skill Cap to go to another small map here. What are they going to do? Are they going to pull out a curveball here? Are they going to bring out a cleave of some type? I really don't think they have one, right? I mean, what you would optimally like to do is play Ret Warrior, but unless Frofsy has been playing a Ret or Maro, I don't think that's going to be an option for them. And do they really want to do Warrior, Shadow Priest, Druid? Maybe they're figuring things out as well as they go through this series that we can't hear behind the scenes. But yeah, Horizon, they're locking it in. They say, what do you got? You need to have an answer. Otherwise, I mean, Horizon already beat Method. If they beat Skill Capped, they basically beat the two teams that have been dominating the region for quite literally years. I want to say it like half a century, maybe even longer than half a century, Skill Capped and
Yeah.
Method EU have just been completely owning EU. And Horizon come in here, one tricking everybody with their jungle cleave. And I mean, they're looking clean. It's not like one of those cases where it's just like big ferocious bites and it's massive damage every game. It's like clean coordination, like these entangling roots on the life grips, using Master's Call to get their priest in aggressive for fear. Like all three of these players are heavily synergized, and I think that's why this matchup, which on paper and even when we see it looks like it should go towards the Druid team, Horizon are just able to overcome it.
Yeah, I mean, they're really able to overcome anything. I mean, for the last every single game, I feel like we've seen them here so far. On this day, Horizon is just always on top of it, always really, really synergized, and they're going to continue on that fashion as we head into this game number 3. So, Skill Capped, of course, looking to come back from this one. It's going to have to be 3 game wins in a row for them, however. So that is a very difficult feat. However, I feel like don't forget, Skill Capped, like Sid already highlighted, has been dominating the EU region for so long. This is a very capable team. They've been in this position before. They know what to do here. So it's only a matter of getting things synergized and getting that right answer to beat Horizon. So we'll see what they can do. But Horizon, very close to 3-0ing this game and moving on to the grand finals.
Would have earned that honor.
I mean, what a
Alright.
story this would be. I still can't get over it. I mean, if this would be such a huge upset and really shake things up in Europe, because it kind of has been just the same teams winning consistently over the last couple of years, and Horizon with their jungle cleave looking to really mix things up, keep Skill Cap, keep Method guessing so far in this tournament. If they can win this, they could 3-0 Skill Cap. I mean, this would just be looking so good for them to actually win this entire thing. Let's see if they can do it. Run hook point,
Shadow
beautifully
melt
done
the
there by
Stormbolt.
Kasu. Yeah, that was a really nice Shadow Melt there by Kasu, just avoiding the Stormbolt. And you could tell, I mean, Horizon, they are playing this series out of their minds. Let's see if they continue it here in game number 3.
Yeah, ooh, almost. But Blizzo is going to get some uptime here onto Castle. There's the shackle coming out from Asgrath. And it appears that they are playing with those shackles on the side of Skill Capped here. And Kasu is going to duck around the corner here. He will recover. Relza did, however, have to use his trinket. But again, it was in exchange for Prophecy's cooldown. So not a bad exchange here. Now Tony looking for the freezing trap here. He gets the full bash. Kasu and Shul here for the trap, but he's not going to go for it. Too much free healing with that Iron Bark coming out from Asgrath. So they're going to keep that in their back pocket. They're going to apply those bleeds onto Blizzo, onto Prophecy. And then whoever drops low, that's going to be the target. Blizzo right now looking pretty juicy. Kasu thinking about it, pushing him for that trap, but he is going to decide against it. And we are going to see Tony now channeling out that Fleshcraft here preemptively. Nice mind control here onto Prophecy. This is a great opportunity to do a setup. Kasu actually getting storm bolted like through the wall almost. Blizzo finding the angle there midair. And Blizzo is going to have a little bit of uptime here, but there is the stun. There's the double stun. Now, can they stop the Master Spell? They do have a stop for the Master Spell as well. Do they have a stop for the Shadow Mends, though? It does not look like it. And Prophecy will be able to keep Asgrath alive, but now full Fear coming out here. They're extending the chain, and that Spear didn't do much here. Blizzo still taking a lot of damage here. There's no Iron Bark. Nature Swiftness is available, though, for Asgrath. Might need to pop it. He's thinking, he's trying to be greedy. He's trying to hold it. But Blizzo is rotting down a little bit. He's got the Ignore Pain up now, and the Powered Shield should be fine for that next setup. But again, mana looking pretty even. I would say pressure so far in favor of Horizon.
All right, let's see if they can keep it up here. Beautiful crowd control chain by Horizon. They're trying to separate Blizzo from the team, but he's not taking damage. Now they're going after Relza. That Void Volley. Oh, Relza barely gets out of range of the Void Volley. That might have actually sent them to an early grave if they had connected that crowd control, but he is able to avoid it. Now Blizzo is trying to go on the Hunter. Kasu is avoiding him with Disengage. Blizzo storm bolts it and charges, but now Life Grip pulls him. He leaps to reconnect and make sure that he's getting uptime on the Hunter. Spirit Bastion, but Kasu can just feign death, I would imagine. They actually just stunned Blizzo during the Spirit Bastion, stopping a lot of his damage output here. I think their plan is to bait feign death with Spear and then go for Shackles of Malediction after feign death isn't available, but they're still going to have to deal with Shadow Meld as well. So I'm not sure if the Hunter is going to be the game-winning target for them, but I do like it over the Feral Druid. Going after the Priest and Hunter seems to be getting more mana out of Relza at this point. Asgrath gets Mass Dispelled. He should be able to begin to stabilize his team unless we see a big crit here into Frofsy. Blizzo gets stunned up. Void Eruption from Frofsy. Tony gets stunned. They're going to the Feral Druid, trying to punish him for being out of line of sight of his healer who's drinking. But it looks like he will survive with Bear Form, Fleshcraft, and Relza got a lot of mana. And I mean, Skill Cap locked in this map to stop Relza from drinking. And he's already got one at 3 minutes, 20 seconds. And he's massively ahead.
I mean, this is just looking really good for Horizon. Blizzo on the back foot once again. He needs to be careful. He's the main target in this match. Any crowd control on Asgrath. Let's see if they can go for it. Beautiful Fleshcraft there by Asgrath, denying some of that crowd control. Warbander drops down. Once again, the War Spear, unfortunately, is going to be missing that Spear of Bastion. And now Blizzo charges forward with a Stormbolt onto Casu. Asgrath actually sitting down for a drink, recovering his mana. At the same time, Relza in the back line, throwing in the Penance. Can he get out of combat and recover his mana on this small map? If he can do so before dampening lands, that's going to be a huge advantage for Horizon moving forward. But in this game number 3, I will say it doesn't seem to be the same kind of pressure going out. Don't want to curse them again, though. Frosty caught into a stun as he takes a little bit of damage. This is a full trap onto Asgrath. And finally, Horizon starting to develop a little bit of momentum in the match.
Yeah, and now here comes the setup. It's full stun onto Blizzo. They're actually just going to Cyclone it. They don't have enough damage on that one. Asgrath now pushing in. He gets the Swording Roar. Tony's looking for the Cyclone. He actually gets it. Relza, though, does get stopped on his drink from that Ursul's Vortex. You guys see Casu here, just ducking around the corner, trying to apply that damage onto Blizzo without taking too much for himself. And Blizzo here looking for the Spear potentially. He should be up for him very, very shortly. And he has an opportunity to get aggressive with that. And there it is, Stormbolt. Potential for the Spear here. To follow up. Going to get a decent amount of damage here onto Casu. Yet to force out the aspect of the turtle, but they do get the Exhilaration heal from Casu. Now Casu coming in with big BM Hunter cooldowns. Can they get a CC onto Asgrath? That is the big question. There it is. Double stun coming out. Blizzo is in a root. Full trap secured. Blizzo can't intervene here. Tony going for the early Cyclone here. And they got Fade still onto Frofsy. He's not activating it. He's going to activate it now. They do get the Cyclone. There's the Void Volleys coming out as well, but they are all going to miss Tony, unfortunately, for Frofsy. And it looks like Frofsy will escape using his dispersion from that CC chain. So Frofsy now could be the target that dies in the next trap. This has been playing very, very well defensively here, and kind of making himself not really a target. Relza getting feared up, but I do believe it broke actually, and then he's going to counter fear everybody. And Relza once again treading on his barrier. Blizzo dropping dangerously low here. Trades out, die by the sword. Frofsy gets kicked on Shadow right there. Blizzo just trying to stay on a target, but he's still quite low here. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. Relza trying to rush him down, but he still has pain suppression as well as his trinket. And I think Relza's going to be completely fine here. And so is his mana actually completely tied still. Frofsy now dropping dangerously low as well. And he will use his Fade and combine it with the Fleshcraft. Now, once again, Blizzo could be dead on that next trap. And he's coming in right now. They get a full stun. Blizzo dangerously low right now. And he will get his defensive proc there from the Curian. But more CC onto Asgrath. There's the Disorienting Roar. Can he get a Cyclone? Can he get anything else? There's a Bash now as well. Relza pushing him. And gets a DR Fear.
No way!
Trinket, but is it enough? Blizzo 1%.
No way!
It's match
They've
point.
done it!
And Blizzo,
Horizon close it out. 3-0? 3-0 against Skill Cap.
unreal.
This is unbelievable. Unprecedented in Europe.
Well, I mean, this is the crazy thing about this as well, is Horizon against a supposed counter comp, and the best option that both Method and Skill Cap could come up with are now 5-0. They've won 5 in a row against this composition. So I feel like Skill Cap and Method, they got to go back to the drawing board because Horizon is looking absolutely unstoppable.